Well, hello there and welcome to my workshop. Now in this series I'm building a classical style acoustic guitar, but with a difference. I do hope you'll join me. Well, hello and welcome back to the workshop. Now I've got the neck blank and the headstock blank all glued up, thinned out and ready to go. But do you know what? I feel like bending wood. So I think today is a bending wood day. Just had to make another slight modification to my former because it wasn't sitting high enough in the vise. So I've added a piece of wood on the bottom there. So hopefully now it should be okay. There we go. Right, so that's plenty of room to get the clamps in. That's good. I've also made a bit of a modification on the bending iron. Now I know a lot of the acoustic guitar builders use a steam box, and I would be using a steam box if I could find the steamer. I can't. Anyway, so I've got my bending iron, and this has been modified. If you remember, it did have a galvanized steel pole on it. It's now got a stainless steel pole on it, which comes from a breakfast bar support, which we no longer need. And it gets much hotter than it did before. It's now at 53 and it will go up to around 100 degrees. So while that's warming up, let me show you my plan. When I cut the ribs, the first one I cut it a bit too narrow. So I'm going to use this one as the test piece. So my idea is that this is going to be wrapped around this former, and this little device here is going to be strapped down with clamps. And there's some clamps. So it's just a question of waiting for the iron to heat up. I've also been ripping some pieces of wood. I think it's either pine or it's something like a redwood for the ribs for the back of the guitar. Yeah, I'm using the technique where you rip the wood, as you can see in that photo. Yeah, so I'll put those to one side and deal with those in a bit. Right, I need to know exactly how to bend this piece of wood, and particularly so that I don't run out of wood at either end. So I've got this piece of paper which I've wrapped around the former, and I've marked sort of a centre line there. It's not actually in the centre, but it's, you know what I mean. So I know that should be somewhere in the centre of this piece of wood. About there. So that's got to tie in with this piece here. Right, it's up to 88 degrees, so I think I'm going to have a go. I've sprayed this wood, it's nice and wet. So let's see if we can do something with this. now we wait and see what happens. While I'm waiting for things to set, I'm going to make a bit of kerfing. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a few days since I bent this wood, and so I'm going to lift it off now and just see if it worked. Okay, let's put it into this frame. Well, it doesn't look too bad. To be perfectly honest with you, it's not bent perhaps as well as it should have done. Let's just squeeze this back on there. Let's get that into the right position. Okay, so that should be up there. This one can go in here. Well, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not exactly the shape that I was after. I think ideally the steam box would have been better than me trying to bend it on the bending iron there. I think if I took a bit longer on the bending iron it would work, but I'm just wondering as well if there's another way of doing this, and I just wonder if I soak it in boiling water, whether that would soften the wood and enable me to bend it better. So a bit more experimentation needed, I think. Just a quick update on my Go Bar deck. I'm really grateful for all the suggestions that people gave me. One of them being to put some inner tube on the ends of each of these bars. Excellent idea. I've just stuck it on with double-sided tape. And the other suggestion was to put in a beam to stop the top moving. So this is attached to the bottom and it's attached to the top, and it stops it moving. I also changed the rather flimsy MDF board that I was using for a thicker, well, it's an old kitchen door, that's what it is, an old kitchen cabinet door. And this now is working much better, he says. Let's see if we can get it in there. There we are. Look at that. I can put them in, no problem at all. That's really firm. Nothing's moving here. Excellent. Well, hello guys. Now then, I'm back in the workshop after a morning of wallpapering. So a few days have gone by since I did that bent those first ribs. And well, I've had another go on the bending iron. I took my time. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed this is going to go better. So I'm going to leave that there, and I've got the patient on the workbench here. Of course I don't mean patient, I mean the template for this guitar, and what I need to know is I need to know how wide, how long these slots are for the headstock. So let's do a bit of measurement and work that out. Okay, so I didn't bore you with me getting all the measurements, but I've marked it all out, and here are the tuners that I'm going to put on. And so the only thing I notice is the hole is a little bit off centre, so I might need to make the headstock a little bit thinner just to bring that in. Can't go too far, otherwise those two will clash, but I think I'll have to bring that in just a little bit. Otherwise I think we're okay to go ahead with this. I'm going to cut it to the size of this template, and then I can make a fine adjustments once it's cut. Okay, I spent a bit of time with a magnifying glass making sure I got the centre line in the right place. I think I have, and I've positioned this template on there. I'm now going to mark it out with a China graph. Obviously this is quite a thick line, but I'll cut to this line and then fine sand it down, or even coarse sand it down. Now, I've just used my template to make the holes to drill these holes at the ends of the slots. And looking through the magnifying glass, I noticed that I'm actually 1 millimetre out on the sort of the first ones. So the little hole I've put in is in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is, I've made a new hole in the right place, but I'm going to put a bit of super glue in the old one. Oops, and stick this cocktail stick in there, because I don't want the drill wandering off into that hole. I'm going to make a 3mm pilot hole with this brad point. And then I'm going to use a Forstner bit to do the rest of the work. Well, look, that looks pretty good. This one is a little bit closer to the centre than that one. These two look pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get any better than that. All I've got to do now is join those up. Okay, well, I've done some basic shaping of this headstock. I think the next thing would probably be to glue it onto the neck, but I'm not going to have time to do that today. And of course, as you know, there's no point in rushing these things. Now I've shaped it, we'll just let it settle for a while. I've got some interesting things to do there because I've used a veneer in between the two woods. I've got a sort of a rather strange light patch which I need to cover up somehow, so that's another little challenge, but we love challenges, don't we? And I've got another rib bending, so we'll see how that looks. Anyway, I'll call it a day for this one, so thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to keep adding your comments because they're so useful. Really appreciate them, and please hit subscribe as well. Yeah, just thumbs up. Anyway, I'll see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.